Tap into the psychology of engagement and more. This is where we talk about life, learning, and everything in between. This is the Lifelong Podcast, a show for those of you who love to ask why. It's because we're marketers. It's because we're coaches. It's because we're change makers. Each week, we dive into the big questions and explore the psychology of engagement with strategies, tactics, and special guests along the way. Now, here's your guide, the visibility hacking queen herself, Coach Molly. Hey, visibility hackers, and welcome back to the Lifelong Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Molly from visibilityhacking.com, and again, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with me today. In this season of the Lifelong Podcast, we're diving into the psychology of engagement, to psychology for marketers. And I can't wait to share this stuff with you. Today specifically, we're going to be talking about Gestalt Psychology. What? Well, let's dive into it, shall we? This axe was my grandfather's axe, and he chopped down many, many trees with it. He would chop down trees and he built a cabin, and that was our family cottage. And then he passed that axe down to my father. And when he did, there was a little crack in the handle. And the first time my father went to cut a piece of wood with that axe, the axe fell in half. But it's okay, because we replaced the handle with another piece of wood. It was still the same axe, but now it was bigger and stronger. And so for 50 years, my father chopped down trees with his axe until it cracked on the metal part on the top. It's okay. We just replaced it and we got a new one. And now that axe is mine. That fancy, shiny axe that has cut down trees for generations previous to me. It has a new handle and it has a new blade, but it's the same axe, isn't it? Once you've replaced all of the parts, is it the same axe? That's a great question. Today we're talking about Gestalt Psychology, and Gestalt is German for form. So I'm sure you've seen this before. You've seen one of these before. This is known as a Rorschach test. Go ahead, tell me what kind of shapes you see in this diagram beside me. What is it? Is it an image of something? Is it a silhouette? Do you see ladies, or do you see bears, or what do you see? This comes from Gestalt Psychology, the idea that humans will build form and shape from objects that may not necessarily be related. You can really talk about Gestalt Psychology when it comes to design, when it comes to creating beautiful design aesthetic, that kind of design that you literally feel inside of you. You know that feeling that it's right. You just can't necessarily put your finger on why one design feels better than another. So Gestalt psychologists, they emphasize that organisms like us, we perceive entire patterns or entire configurations, and not just merely the individual parts that are associated with it. So if we go back to the story about my grandfather's axe, we ask the question, is it the same axe? Well, yeah, it clearly is. It may be made of different parts now. There may not be a single piece of that axe that had touched my grandfather's hands, but the important part is the sum of the parts is more important than the individual pieces unto themselves. That whole is more important than the parts. So this matters when it comes to marketing, because if we look at our marketing campaigns as individual entities, we have email marketing, we have social media marketing, we have influencer marketing, we have direct-to-consumer marketing, we have our funnel designs, we have our follow-up funnel, etc., etc. All of those different individual segments of our marketing are each powerful unto themselves. That is not going to be argued here whatsoever. But what I want you to think about is how powerful all of those campaigns become when they are looked at together. A lot of the times when we are running our own businesses, when we're in charge of our own marketing stuff, what we're focused on is, what can I accomplish with what tools do I have at my hands? So a lot of us will say, well, I have access to Instagram, so I'm going to start doing Instagram. We may not necessarily be the perfect fit for our consumers, but we have this feeling that we want to be everywhere. And visibility hacking is about being in more than one place at the same time. And we do that by understanding this having this Gestalt mindset when it comes to our marketing materials and our marketing campaigns. Understanding that just because we are present on a singular platform, we're not going to see the same metrics we need when we're looking for conversion as we would if we looked at all of our multi-platform campaigns as a whole. So what your homework is today, it's going to be a very short video because I want you to focus and I want you to do the work today. What your homework is to take an inventory of what your current platforms and campaigns are. List them all out. And then I want you to look at how together, what metrics are you able to hit when you look at all of those campaigns as a whole. It's not necessarily about that individual campaign. It's about the impact that customer has overall. We know that brand recognition is vitally important to the survival of our visibility. And that comes from being in more than one place at once. But if we put all of our eggs into one basket and it's not the right basket for us to be in, then we lose all of that visibility. So making sure that we are visible in multiple places is important, but we need to be visible in the right way. So the first step to having that maximum visibility is to do that inventory. Where are you right now? Who are the customers that you are talking to? Who are the prospective customers that you're talking to on this platform? And what is the pathway they need to take in order to become your customers? Do that for every single campaign and every single platform that you're doing. And then moving forward, when you start to design your marketing campaigns and your launch campaigns, what I want you to do is to list off all of the platforms that you're on and what is the individual objectives that each of those platforms will accomplish for the entirety of that marketing campaign. Don't just look at each stream and each channel as its own marketing campaign. Instead, how do they become integral parts of a master plan? That's what this is all about today. So go off, do your homework, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Lifelong Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Molly from visibilityhacking.com, and I will see you in our next episode. Remember, you can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, and you can find us in video format on our YouTube page. I will see you again soon. I will hear from you soon. Until then, remember, I love you, and be excellent to each other.